Why were you put in the 10 by 10 shed? You said you couldn't stand up in there?
Right. I was told that I had committed spiritual adultery, and I never really knew what that meant.
And you didn't leave, you were cast out. Showtime.
I was cast out. They changed my name to Forsaken. They made me put a black scarf over my head and wear this white sack dress, and they put me out in the shed. And the door was not locked. I could have left, but that's how afraid I was.
We cried out earnestly to the Lord as to what we should do about the situation. We believe that the Lord instructed us to merely remove her from her position of authority, which we did with full explanation to her as to why we were doing so. She seemed to accept the decision well enough, and in fact seemed relieved, as she honestly was not the leadership type. Her husband, when he heard of the situation, took it as his opportunity and kicked her out of the house. She had nowhere to go, so I told her that she could sleep in the chop shop, which was a building that we had on the back of the property that included a bathroom with a flush toilet.
Showtime. Put in the 10 by 10 shed.
So I told her that she could sleep in the chop shop, which was a building that we had on the back of the property that included a bathroom with a flush toilet.
So leave your house, come into my shed.
No money, no TV, no cars, and no contact with family on the outside.
Telephone with 2 lines to the outside world, and a door that went to the alley that provided easy access for leaving. Mara at that time was thankful to receive such accommodation. We merely offered the place to her so that she could have a resting place other than the city street.
You'll find that sheds are nicer than you thought.
We were not sure that the argument between them would continue, for they had many disputes during the years.
Maura, you actually joined this cult some years ago, right?
Yes.
What did you think you were signing up for?
Well, my husband and I were wanting to make some changes in our lives. Little did we know what we were doing.
I'd be living in drugs, I'd be living in filth if we had not met the green.
I became a member of the Aggressive Christianity Missions Training Corps when I was 12 years old. My parents were friends with Jim and Deborah Green, and they started having Bible studies with them.
Mara had been there for a few days. Another woman, Jackie Rankin, determined to put herself with Mara in her situation, as she imagined that she could help her. So the two of them were in the chop shop, basically doing nothing.
Showtime.
Every minute of our lives was controlled.
So the two of them were in the chop shop, basically doing nothing.
Every minute of our lives was controlled.
Then they asked for some work, and they expressed a preference for outdoor work. They were given some menial tasks at their request to occupy their time. Mara had for some time been infatuated with a book about an ex-Roman Catholic nun named Sister Charlotte.
Showtime.
Sister Charlotte told the story of brutality and severity which she had experienced in the Roman Catholic convent, and how that she had escaped from the cloistered convent and told of her subsequent conversion to Christ. Mara took Sister Charlotte to the chop shop with her. She seemed obsessed with the book, as though she were memorizing lines for a play.
Showtime.
They made me put a black scarf over my head and wear this white sack dress, and they put me out in the shed.
Little did we realize at the time that she was literally allowing Satan to convince her.
These are complex questions, but we're drilling down on them.
Little did we realize at the time that she was literally allowing Satan to convince her that her plight was as bad as that of Sister Charlotte. In the meantime, another woman joined the ladies in the chop shop. And so there were 3 of them in the way of the work projects going on.
Put in the 10 by 10 shed. You said you couldn't stand up.
And so there were 3 of them in the way of the work.
These are complex questions, but we're drilling down on them.
It was recommended by them that they move into the children's clubhouse, a supposed shed. It was recommended by them that they move into the children's clubhouse, a supposed shed.
Complex questions, but we're drilling down.
That's right! The 3 Amigos. They were the biggest stars of their day.
The 3 Amigos are history.
But that was yesterday.
Look, boys, I know show business. Something always turns up. Telegram for the 3 Amigos.
the sky.
Who are you?
These are complex questions.
The Three Amigos! Arriba!
I like this guy. They are funny guys.
To the children's clubhouse, I suppose, which was a smaller building that had windows, doors, electricity, and a wood stove. It was fully carpeted, and we were assured, especially by Mara, that they would be fine in there and that it was a nice place to stay.
These are complex questions, but we're drilling down on them.
The Three Amigos.
Throw down your gun! Not you, Dusty! Sorry!
You're so brave.
Whoa, Horseman!
Three Amigos.
In the smaller building, the shed, the other woman went out the back. Went out the back and called the police, claiming that she was in captivity.
And the door was not locked. I could have left, but that's how afraid I was.
The police came over, talked to her, and concluded that there was no captivity because obviously she had the free will to leave and call them to her rescue.
I'll come back one day.
Why?
Well, today we're talking to people who escaped from what they say is a bizarre religious community. No money, no TV, no cars, and no contact with family on the outside. Maura says her worst punishment was being locked in a windowless shed for 10 weeks with only stale peanut butter sandwiches.
I was not allowed to see or talk to my children for 6 months. There was a shed in the backyard. I was ordered to move into that shed. There were no windows in the shed. It was full of mildew, and you couldn't stand upright. No bath, no shower for 6 months. I was excommunicated.
We're a picket party chainsaw, go to drink my beer. A couple of dozen games of darts 3 or 4 times a year. Sort me nuts and bolts, sharpen up a knife. Escape from the youngsters, the TV and the wife. In me shed, me lovely little shed. Might as well get a Chesterfield, the toilet and the bed. It's the only place where I can go and tinker with my toys. Go and find solitude with a bunch of ugly guys.
It seems a bit extreme, but...
Well, the smoke goes up the chimney, you signal to the boys. They all invent excuses and they show up like the flies. We stand around discussing the deeper things in life, like the beauty of a piston or the marvels of a trike. In me shed, me lovely little shed. Might as well get a Chesterfield, a toilet and a bed. It's the only place where I can go and tinker with my toys. Go and find solitude with a bunch of ugly guys. There are meaningful activities for men to all enjoy, like the sharpening of a box saw or tying up some flies. To justify your shed time, keep quality in life. You build a coffee table just to satisfy the wife. In the shed, me lovely little shed. Might as well get a Chesterfield, a toilet and a bed. It's the only place where I can go and tinker with my toys. Go and find solitude with a bunch of ugly guys. And I got to say she's beautiful, men will all agree. With her arse to the wood pile she faces out to sea. An oil drum wood stove, the hole for the mouse, and 1,000 little treasures that got banished from the house. In the shed, me lovely little shed. Might as well get a Chesterfield, a toilet and a bed. It's the only place where I can go and tinker with my toys. Go and find solitude with a bunch of ugly guys.
Deep break.
Do you have anything besides Mexican food?
If the wife ever threatens and forces me to choose between my marriage or the shed, either way I'm going to lose me tools and me buddies or me wife and our bed. I I guess I'll have to leave it all and move to me shed, in me shed, me lovely little shed. Might as well get a Chesterfield, a toilet and a bed. It's the only place where I can go and tinker with my toys. Go and find solitude with a bunch of ugly guys.
And the door was not locked. I could have left, but that's how afraid I
These are
was.
complex questions, but we're drilling down on
She
them.
left that night with the police. Mara vowed over and over that night that she was not a captive, but rather was homeless, thankful for a place to stay. After a few weeks, as we made room in the camp, the two women were moved out of the small room and given accommodations in one of the houses, just as the others living there were given. They were given much time to themselves to pray, to read the Bible, to meditate on the Word of God. They seemed to be benefiting from this and wrote many letters expressing their gratitude for our kindness towards them and allowing them to stay inside the facility instead of putting them out on the streets.
Nothing I can do, nothing I can say. You do what you want to, go your own sweet way. You'll go your own.
And Mara leaves and returns.
I'll come back one day.
Why?
But we're
Mara at
drilling
this
down on
point
them.
requested that her food portion be cut, as she said that she was not getting enough exercise and was getting fat. So, as I inquired what she wanted to eat, she said she would like peanut butter sandwiches. We accommodated her with peanut butter sandwiches for lunch. Breakfast and dinner she was allowed to eat of the provision that everyone else had. It was her choice to eat the sandwiches for lunch, but the provision for lunch often included fresh fruits and salads also, as I did not want them to get bored eating the peanut butter sandwiches. Several times I asked them if they wanted something else. They replied no, they loved their peanut butter. During this time, Mara and the other woman, Jackie Rankin, often asked for work outside, declaring that they wanted to do those things that would benefit others. Mara insisted that she wash her clothing in a bucket and take her showers with a bucket, as she said that it was good training that she had the opportunity to be a missionary during this time. After a while, we thought it better to arrange for both of the women to work in the art shops where they could receive paychecks for their labors. We felt this better, as Mara would spend hours in the yard pulling a few weeds and sitting in positions that were unbecoming with her legs spread open while she was wearing skirts, behaving in lewd manners, hoping some of the young men would come and talk to her. During this time, she and her husband talked about and agreed upon a divorce. She willingly signed the papers and excitedly commented to another young man, quote, "At last I'm free," unquote. Mara exclaimed, quote, "I am free," unquote. We did not know of the divorce plans until after the papers were signed and the husband reported it to me. I was literally shocked because I had hoped they would reconcile the relationship and that they would be accepting of each other again. But he assured me that they had come to a mutual agreement and that he was to have custody of their children, which seemed right inasmuch as she was at times very neglectful of them. Mara leaves and returns. We then sent Mara home to her mother, thinking that perhaps she could live apart from the group for a while and things would improve between her and her husband. She lasted 2 days, during which time she was calling continually and begging me to return.
I'll come back one day.
Why?
She had taken her youngest son with her, and she was threatening to walk the streets with him in a shopping cart if I did not allow her to return. Finally, I gave in and allowed her to return. We suspected that she had contact with Mr. Blazer, who probably advised her what to do in order to finish us off and be able to sue us for the $20 million that both of them imagined we had. Mara was later to claim that we held her in captivity, which is not true, for we did not want to keep her from her natural family. She chose to return with many pleadings for mercy from us. How absurd her claims of captivity when one realizes that we sent her to her mother to stay with her youngest son and that it was our intention that perhaps the time with her mother and father would do some good, and if there was any hope for the marriage, which by this time was evidently in its dying throes, that Mara and her husband could possibly be reconciled through absence from each other. But she was insistent on being readmitted to the camp. After her return, Mara was given a private room with her son Stephen, and they were allowed to basically have the run of the mess hall, as one of her jobs was to clean up the tables after the meal.
Nothing I can say. You do what you want to, go your own sweet way.